If you listen to ghost stories repeatedly, you have probably heard of haunted houses. This is probably when a ghost decides it won't leave the place where it resided when the person was alive. There are quite a number of people who have claimed to have come across some haunted houses, and others are even popular for that. But what are the stories behind these haunted houses? Today, we will look at scary ghost stories from a haunted house. Kasha House of Kaimuki in Honolulu, Hawaii. The Kasha House of Kaimuki in Honolulu, Hawaii has had a mystery going on for decades now. A few months after the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941, this house made its first bad press appearance in the Honolulu Star. According to the article, the police within the area received a call from this house. The woman was just shouting, "She's trying to kill my children. She's trying to kill my children." This definitely called for a fast response from the site. However, when the police arrived, they did not expect what they found. When they arrived, they found a young Hawaiian boy, his 3 sisters, and his mother, all shrieking as they were being thrown around by what seemed like nothing. Yes, there was no one there apart from this family, but it was clear that an unseen force was attacking them. However, this was not the end of this unseen force. About 30 years later, another family either in the same home or about a block away from the original spooky house reported being attacked by a similar unseen force. This incident was even corroborated by the officers who responded to the scene. Given these 2 incidents, 2 popular explanations exist for the unseen forces. The first claims to be a demonic shape-shifting creature known as the Kasha from Japanese folklore. The other theory claims that it is an angry spirit from a corpse buried in the home's backyard. Even though the house has since been brought down and replaced by some condos, the residents and locals still claim that the dark energy is still there and does attack from time to time. Chop Chop House. If you have ever lived in Boise, Idaho, then you know that it is hard to miss the house at 805 West Linden Street. The house is covered in a layer of soot and the windows are all broken and boarded up. Not only that, but there is trash everywhere in the yard. This 2-story, 2,728 square foot craftsman-style home literally looks like an abandoned horror movie set. However, the true story behind this building is even scarier. The house is commonly known as the Boise Murder House, but the locals call it the Chop Chop House. This name refers to the gruesome homicide that occurred more than 3 decades ago. In the early morning hours of June 30th, 1987, Daniel Rogers and Darren Cox shot and killed Preston Murr in the very basement of this house. The 2 men then went on to dismember his corpse with an axe and knife. They then wrapped the body pieces in plastic bags and drove to the Idaho-Oregon border to dispose of the body in the Brownlee Reservoir. However, that is not the most horrifying thing about this house. The thing is, Murr almost escaped. According to the records, there was an altercation around midnight among the 3 men. During this altercation, one of them shot Murr in the shoulder. Murr then managed to escape the premises and he ran to get some help from the neighbor. He banged on the door, asking for help, but the neighbor never opened the door. However, sensing some danger, the neighbor called the police. The neighbor reported that he heard pounding on the door and then someone saying, "Let go of me." He then reported hearing a frantic yell. When the neighbor looked out of the window, he saw someone running after Murr before catching him and dragging him to the basement of the house. This is where he was fatally shot in the back of his head. Even though the police never responded that night, the neighbor called them again, claiming that there was blood on his screen door. When the police got to the crime scene, blood was everywhere, showing Murr's desperate attempt to escape his murderers the night before. However, as much as the crime scene was cleaned up, there is still a dark legacy around about this place. According to property records, the house was sold in 2000 to James Howell. Since then, Howell rented the house to different tenants, and given that it's closer to Boise State University, it was a popular choice for students who wanted off-campus housing. However, ever since then, the people who have lived here have claimed that this house is haunted. One rumor claims that some brothers reported seeing blood dripping from the basement walls for a couple of years. Even though there is no truth to that, a lot of the former residents have claimed that there is something that is not right about this house. Joe W., a former BSU student, once told a local radio station the basement was creepy and had a weird feeling. We would take people down there to scare them. I never saw any ghosts, but you could tell something wasn't right. Another incident was given by another Boise resident, Rachel R., who claims that her family almost bought the house back in 2000. She says that to this day, she still gets anxious when she thinks about their tour of the home. While giving her encounter, she said it looked like it had been abandoned, and the basement was by far the creepiest part. The strangest tale of them all was as told by Dan D., and this one goes even beyond the basement. According to Dan, he and his friend thought they heard someone trying to break into the house at night. When they went to the front porch to check things out, no one was there. After confirming that there was no one in the front yard, Dan turned to face the house, and this is where things took a turn. He saw something that seemed to have come straight from a horror movie. Dan saw a big black oily looking thing in the window of one of the bedrooms upstairs. Dan recalls seeing the shadowy figure move back from the window and towards the bedroom door before it finally disappeared. Shortly after that, Dan saw it outside in a mirror sitting on the porch. He then watched as the ball of oily blackness moved from the large column on the porch, and as it was doing so, it was growing in size. It eventually took up the entire reflection in the mirror and moved right through him. Dan said it was the weirdest, most disturbing thing I've ever felt, and just typing this makes me feel it again. It's like ice fingers sinking into my shoulders. What could this have been? The Villisca Axe Murder House. The story behind this house is quite horrifying. On June 10, 1912, Josiah and Sarah Moore were bludgeoned to death while they were still inside their home in Villisca, Iowa. Their 4 children, along with 2 of their friends who were spending the night here, were also killed. To this day, nothing is known about these murders or even what happened. The crime remains unsolved. For some time, this home has been considered one of the most haunted in the country, but guests are drawn to it for some reason. Some people even agree to pay more than $400 just to spend the night here. According to the official website of the Villisca Axe Murder House, tours have been cut short by children's voices, falling lamps, moving ladders, and flying objects. In 2014, there was a paranormal investigator who also stabbed himself after spending the night there. There are a lot of theories behind this place, but nothing is really known about the paranormal activities here. What do you think it is? Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.